Morning, everyone. It's a great honor for me to be here to share our research project. I'm a PhD student from the UC Irvine, and I'm collaborating with my advisor, Professor Sanjeev Devan from the UC Irvine, and Professor Fei Ren from the Peking University. So this is an ongoing project. I appreciate any comments and suggestions to help us to improve it. So our research, the title is Exposure, Readiness, and Firm Valuation of Gen AI. So actually the title captures all the elements we are interested in exploring. So I will take you through them step by step. Let's begin with our motivation. Why did we start exploring generative AI, and what's its valuation at the firm level? So look at the chart in the right side. And the x-axis is the years, and the y-axis is the AI investments of the firms. So we can see that there is a dramatic surge at the year 2023, especially after the launch of the ChatGPT on the November 30, 2022. So it means that a lot of companies are realizing the great potential of Gen AI holds for the value creation and capture. So that's because we all know that generative AI can be considered as the general purpose technology similar to our internet and electricity. So based on this foundation model, we can drive the innovation and transform a wide range of the work activities. So look at this paper. This paper studied the occupation level exposure to the Gen AI. So here, occupation exposure means that how much of the work activities within a job can be influenced by the Gen AI. So we can see the first row of this slide. So for the telemarketers, almost 99% of the work of these telemarketers can be done by the generative AI technologies. And here is the individual influence of the Gen AI. And let's move on to the firm level exposure. So this work is the Professor Schubert work, our first speaker. And they found that the firm level exposure means that how many of jobs within a firm can be influenced by the generative AI technology. So we can see that different firms have varying level of exposure to this kind of technology. So what's our focus on the, what does the focus of our research? So we think that the Gen AI exposure alone is not a silver bullet, because then think back the telemarketers exposure, it's almost 99%. That means that all the telemarketing work can be done by the generative AI? Of course not. So the real question is what determines the timing? So why do some firms deploy the AI earlier, while some firms wait? So that's the focus of our research. We wanted to explore the different AI readiness for the firms. So we think that the Gen AI exposure can capture the opportunities and the potential of the Gen AI. And we wanted to see how the firms quickly or readiness to prepare themselves to deploy this strategy. So here, strategic AI readiness means that the maturity level of the complementary strategies and AI investments of the generative AI. So I will break down the research questions in the next slides, our conceptual framework. It will be more intuitive to capture the whole idea. So for our research, we saw that the AI exposure has the influence on the firm valuation, but we think that what's the moderation effect of the AI readiness on this effect? We more explore the alignment effect of this of the AI technology on the firm valuation, and we also take step further to explore 3 different dimensions based on the business functions, like the product, process, and customer. Why we consider these 3 dimensions? Because based on the value discipline model, which emphasize that they shape the firms compute themselves by excelling in one of these three areas. So they can shape how firm gets the evaluation improvement and differentiate themselves. So we think that these three dimensions can reflect the different firms' level heterogeneous effect and how the value potential vary based on these three dimensions. And let's look at our results. So these results actually from the ONET dataset and the review lab. We calculate, it includes all the occupation level data and the firm level dynamic workforce data. So we calculate the exposure for each firm, follow up the literature, and we can see that for the first row, the JP Morgan, their overall firm exposure is 0.617. It means that within this firm, almost 61.7% of jobs can be replaced by the generative AI. And look at the different dimensions. So for the first row, the customer exposure, it means that how much of the works employed by the human working in the customer-related departments can be done by the generative AI. So look at the JP Morgan, the three dimensions. It means that the employees working in the process business functions have the highest exposure to this kind of technology. But the customer-facing roles, they have the least exposure to the generative AI. So here we use the event study framework to explore the causal effect of the generative AI technology. So we use the launch of the ChatGPT as an external shock to explore that. And we choose a 2 days event window. And here we use a market model to calculate the abnormal return to capture the firm valuation. And when we do the subsample analysis, we can see that the higher exposure firms will experience a positive, significantly firm valuation increase. So here is the results for the three different dimensions. We can see the second row over here. Even if their influence are all the positive effect, but their magnitude are different. For example, for the first two, the customer exposure and the product exposure has higher efficiency than the process exposure. It means that some customer and the product innovation are directly connect with your revenue growth and the market positioning. So it is a strong signal for the investors about your firm valuation. But the process exposure is more likely to connect with your cost efficiency, so it might not signal strong for your firm's growth prospects. And let's move to our central research question. So what's the alignment between these two important factors, the generative AI exposure and the strategic AI readiness? So I go over the definition of strategic AI readiness again. It means the maturity level of your complementary strategies and AI investments that shape the firm's ability to turn the exposure into the real firm value. So here, from the prior research, they always use two ways to measure the AI readiness. One is survey-based. They design a questionnaire and interview the top management. And the second one, they use the AI-related word frequency from the earnings calls or from the annual report. So we think there has the limitations for the second method because there had different levels of the technology investment behind the same frequency. For example, these two paragraphs I extracted from the earnings calls. So these two different companies, they both mention the generative AI once, but behind this, they have very different meaning. For example, for the first one, they said, we begin implementing the innovative capabilities of Gen AI to automate the tasks. So it's obvious it's a very early and immature stage. But for this one, they said our generative AI got a lot of more powerful recently with the launch of its new customization capability. So it's in a very late and mature stage. So in order to capture the different development stage behind the AI readiness, we developed a rubric. So we divided the readiness from plan, pilot, release, pioneer. So from the very early stage to the very late and mature stage. And then we extract some sentence triples. Sentence triples mean that in the middle sentence is the AI-related verse sentence, and we also cover the context before this middle sentence and after that. So when we combine this kind of rubric and the simple and the sentence triples from the firm earnings calls to input the large language models to get some maturity level label for each sentence triples, and then we aggregate them together to get the firm level maturity scores. So in order to validate our method is valid, we use 3 different models like the ChatGPT 4o Mini and Llama and Claude. And we also hire the human raters to help us to label these sentence triples. So we get the very consistent results. And here is the result for the readiness and same to exposure. This is the overall firm readiness, and this one is the readiness across different business functions. So for example, for the JP Morgan, their strategy readiness level is 0.2 for the customer intimacy strategy, but for the product leadership, it's just a 0. And then we move to see what's the influence on the firm valuation under these 4 conditions. So we can see in the first row, the high exposure, high readiness firms will experience a significantly improvement in their firm valuation. So it's consistent to our intuition. But the interesting results comes from these 2 middle areas, the middle errors. So the firms with high exposure, low readiness means that their firm valuation doesn't change. It means that if the employees' work within a firm can be influenced by the Gen AI in a very high degree, but the top management doesn't realize that and don't identify this kind of opportunity within their firm. So they take no actions, they do nothing. And in this situation, the firm's value doesn't change. And for the firms with low exposure but high readiness, they will experience a significantly negative influence on their firm value. So that's because for the firms, if their employees' work cannot be influenced by the Gen AI, but the top management, they blindly follow up their computer strategy. They saw a lot of companies invest in AI, so they heavily invested the AI as well. So in this kind of situation, their firm's value, it hurts their firm's value. So these 2, the middle rows measure the misalignment between these 2 factors, the AI exposure and the AI readiness. And the last one, low exposure, low readiness, it measures measure the traditional firms. They might not influenced by the Gen AI at all. So here is our discussion. I already go over the details in the tables. So we found that each dimensions behind the exposure can influence the firm valuation, but the magnitude are different. And for the second one is our main research question, the alignment between the Gen AI exposure and strategy AI readiness. We found that if the firms can align their strategy with their own situations in the employee level, so they can align the strategy with exposure, they can have capture value from AI innovations. So their firm valuation will increase. And for the last two is measure the misalignment between these two factors. And here is a result. During the time constraint, I don't have time to go over details for this one. So summary of this slide, I just also, divided the AI readiness also across 3 dimensions. And we also found that for each readiness, when you align with your own exposure in different business functions, you can get the positive firm valuation increase. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, we have time for 2 or 3 questions.
So I have a quick one. So it looks like what you're calling AI readiness is mostly what stage of AI implementation they are in. Like, are they in pilot stage or late stage? Whereas what I was initially thinking is AI readiness could be about, have they done skilling, reskilling, upskilling of their talent pool, or workflow redesign and things like that. And I'm wondering if you would consider those kinds of things as being more nuanced indicators of readiness.
Yeah. For our readiness, because we extract from the earnings calls, it captures all the top management, insights from all of the different dimensions within these organizations. So I think we don't have the very detailed related to your suggestion comments then, but I think we capture almost all the strategies related to this firm. Thank you.
There's one more question here. Curious question on how did you code it when organization acquired another one for AI capability?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat?
How did you code it for operational or product customer when they just acquired the AI capability?
Okay, yeah. For the exposure one, we have in our data set, the revenue lab workforce data set, we have different departments or roles of these employees. So we can, based on their work activities or work roles, to divide into different dimensions. Like if you working related to the marketing, sales, customer service, I will divide you into the customer business functions. And then we aggregate this kind of employees to get the customer exposure.
So for example, if Google's acquisition of, how did you code it?
If
Google's acquisition of DeepMind, how did you encode it that? Google acquired DeepMind, which was the AI engine which became the foundation for
because we also have their work activities. So like so this kind of engineer in different firms, they might have different work activity. It might possible to divide them into different exposure. Yeah. For the readiness one, because we extracted the sentence triples, we have 3 sentences, so we cover the context of these sentence triples. We can tell if this strategy related to the which dimensions, because we will say we deploy AI to my product department, to my product functions. Yeah.
product innovation.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.